The legal industry has become an integral part of our society. Our team has therefore analysed the knowledge management and learning process practices, specifically in the area of dispute resolution. Based on our primary research, we realised that this industry faces two critical KM problems. Firstly, it is the access to knowledge repository for the smaller firms. This is a computerized system that systematically captures, organizes, and categorizes an organization knowledge. However, in doing so, cost will be an issue. Secondly, it is the learning process that takes place in the early industry. The concern here is that within the industry, early specialization has become a common practice. However, we hope to find out whether this hinders learning process in the law firms. We will be finding out more from our interviewees, Mr. Harjit and Mr. Alex, later.
So today here with us, we have Mr. Harjit Singh and Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis. Mr. Harjit Singh is one of the partners in Harjit Singh and Company. He was called to the English bar in 1981 and the local bar in 1982. He has been in practice for the past 36 years by now. And Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis, he graduated from NUS in 1981 and admitted to the bar in 1982. Mr. Lewis was one of the first undergraduates to ever start his own firm.
It's just that law in itself is so much, the volume of substance as in paperwork, cases, it's a massive task to manage data and information.
I remember when I was in practice, in the early years in practice, like what Alex pointed out, we used to write documents, particularly so affidavits. Affidavits are really very wrong document. It's your client's version of actually the facts of the case. And we had to, of course, interview the clients, and his notes are all taken and written. Then after that, we would have to go through the arduous task, the tedious task of actually writing out the affidavits. And there used to be, and after that maybe you have to go through a second draft and a third draft. So you've got to keep on rewriting it, and that was really very, very tedious. And take up a lot of
I realized that from past experience, that the moment the lawyers graduate, and especially those who join the larger firms, they begin to specialize immediately upon admission and upon getting employment. So once you do that, you don't get a chance to retrieve knowledge, or information about other aspects, because you're confined to a particular. And law is not something which can be isolated, fragmented. Law is related. All the parts are related. It's a social science. Yeah, it's a social science. You understand the human being, whether the person comes to you for takeover and merger, or whether he comes to you to do a will, or whether he comes to you to buy a house. There's always family law, criminal law, trust law, company law, and all these things that are related, that you must have a basic knowledge of. Otherwise, it becomes very fragmented. Part A, I only do wills, or I do estates. So he doesn't do a incorporation of a company. How is he going to give advice? So I agree with Ajit that the early specialization actually is negative, and it's a serious problem, because I have had dealings with junior lawyers, and I found that the lack of knowledge, because they started specializing.
From our interview, we have identified two knowledge issues in the legal sector. But how does a Big Four organization deal with such KM issues?
For law firm Raja & Tan, technology plays a part in its KM strategy. In fact, it is so important to Raja & Tan that it even recently upgraded its technology infrastructure not out of obsolescence, but to stay as nimble as it needs to be. It also brought in dedicated AI tools to reduce the amount of tedious and mundane work. We can see that its emphasis on technology is redefining how knowledge is managed. Technology helps to make work and communication in Raja & Tan effective. Raja & Tan also proactively tries to make its employees happy by ensuring work-life balance. The firm won an Achiever Award in the 2014 Work-Life Excellence Awards by the Tripartite Committee on Work-Life Strategy. Deputy Managing Partner at Patrick Ang, contends that this is the way for businesses to retain talent and stay competitive. Having a work-life balance ensures talent retention, which means that knowledge loss is reduced as much as possible.
The first part of our proposed solution is to increase the utilization of ICT in smaller law firms like that of Hajit and Company. We understand that costs could be the main issue of firms' reluctance to subscribing to a massive knowledge-based platform. However, this does not mean that firms shall deprive themselves from the benefits that technology can give them. It does not need to be expensive. We instead suggest firms introduce smart taxonomy and repository in their system. This can be achieved by intelligent storing of researchers and drafts of standard documents with systematic filing and labeling. This would allow for an intelligent scanning process for quick data retrieval, even including the related cases. Besides, firms can introduce two parallel database concepts. It is where certain information platform is accessible only among lawyers and another among lawyers and their clients. This would allow quicker information updates as well as scheduling with changes tracking put in place. More so, the different degrees of sharing have to be introduced in which relevant employees and clients are given access to the knowledge and data. Not only so, as an initial stage of exposing new lawyers to various legal areas, firms can incorporate an online learning platforms compulsory for their lawyers with periodical assessment attached to it. This can be achieved by both internal and external webinar concept. However, if you think online learning is insufficient, my colleague Divya will explain to you more about the subsequent steps necessary.
Anna has just covered the benefits of incorporating technology into the firm. However, in order to make the best use out of it, it needs to be implemented together with interpersonal skills.
The practice of law is not about science and technology. The practice of knowledge information, that is just one of the tools we need to practice law. In a scenario where everything is technology based, that means you pick up, you send a message, a WhatsApp to the other lawyer, hey, by the way, I got this claim, and the lawyer replies, okay, sue. So how are you going to talk? You know, everything is so mechanical and electronic that you forget that, hey, we need to sit and resolve this, the human problem, human factor there.
To do this, we propose to implement a new initiative called CCT. You've heard of ICT from us previously from Zara Kahoot, do you remember? But here, we are with a new program called CCT, aka Chit Chat Tech. It is a new initiative which incorporates mentorship program with copy chats and two main stages to this initiative. The first stage, a senior lawyer will bring along one of his junior lawyers with him to meet one or more of his senior lawyers to discuss cases, or in the words of Mr. Hajit, to pick the mind of his friend.
And you meet your fellow solicitors, you can say, okay, I've got this problem, I've got this case, okay, can I pick your brains? And all the other lawyers will then contribute, and then you get the feel and the perimeter of what the case is, and they bounce off a lot of ideas and all that. So roughly you get a better idea, a better picture of what the case is all about. And then after that you start doing your own research, and that's when you can use your technology to go into, because there's cases, for instance, some guys will talk, okay, this matter, there is this relevant case, I mean, it was decided in Singapore, or there's an English case, or an Australian case and all that. Of course we share those citations and all that. So that I think that is a good starting point for this to sort of bounce up ideas from your colleagues, and then you go take it back to your office, and that's where you start. From there you build on it, then do your own legal research, and then you just build up your case from there.
Before that, all this happens among the older lawyers, where you all sit in the round table and discuss. So like within younger lawyers, it's harder to share this kind of...
The first step has twofold benefits. Firstly, it enables more efficient research, as many ideas have been shared by the various lawyers, and secondly, it enables knowledge transfer between various firms and not just within the first firm itself.
Even precedence for that matter. If I've done a matter which is sort of akin to what you are doing, I say, okay, fine, I've got a precedent, I will give it to you. Of course, maybe what we do is we blank out the names. So those kind of sensitive information, blank of the names or maybe the addresses are involved or amounts involved, you can redact all of that. But otherwise, the precedent is there. I mean, the skeletal precedent is there, which is sufficient for our purposes. And then you just adapt it, and then you just adapt it and just make your changes accordingly.
The second stage would then be testing the junior lawyer by encouraging him to take up the position of the senior lawyer, as merely by shadowing the senior lawyer, he only gains academic skills, but we need to put this to test. So, by putting him to test, we are able to pass the culture on, incorporating the culture not just intra-firm, but inter-firms as well.
So, Anna and Diva have both introduced solutions which will increase knowledge sharing among lawyers. But how exactly would you evaluate the success of these solutions? Taking this into consideration, the last part of our proposed solution is about introducing a new KPI system specifically for leaders, which will, in turn, to a certain extent, evaluate the success of the e-learning platform and CCT. KPIs are typically used to assess the success of a leader through their financial performance, and in our solution, we propose to incorporate the assessment of people into the KPI system as well. This KPI will measure the amount of knowledge gained by employees of the firm through a yearly survey sent out to employees, and will be used to assess the level of knowledge each employee of the firm has gained. The KPI will then take into consideration all surveys done by the employees of the firm and come to a reasonable KPI indicator to assess the success of their leader.
The benefits of utilization of technology is that they are cost-effective, allows for easy information retrieval, and most importantly, is accessible anytime and anywhere. However, the downsides to this is that it's time-consuming to transfer all the data. We also have to look at security issues and also the resistance to change by the senior employees. With CheckTech, we can expect to see increased interaction between lawyers as well as meaningful professional relationships being forged. We can also expect to see increased knowledge sharing as well as a consistency in productivity. However, CheckTech can also lead to enhanced feelings of resentment where lawyers are not willing to share. This also creates loyalty and dependence issues whereby the mentee might get too attached or detached to the mentor. For culture and assessment, it is a clear indicator of goal progress. Quantifiable results can be obtained. Also, it is an alignment towards the organization's knowledge management goals. However, because knowledge is broadly defined, the indicators are also broadly assessed as well. Also, the assessment is based on a per employee basis.